What can I say about this company? I've recommended it a while back at higher prices than it's trading for today. I think the current prices are a tremendous value. Darin and his team have won Explorations of the Year, I think, twice now, and for good reason. They are delivering some tremendous intersections, especially in gold. On the Detour Gold Trend, they had a result the other day that was one of the best that I've ever seen in this industry. And so without further ado, let me introduce Darin to talk about Balmoral.
Thank you very much, and pleasure to be here. I think one of the things that we've seen, and one of the things you see with the companies here today, one of the cards that's being played in the space, in particular on the M&A front, as companies, producers look for assets that they don't have, is the jurisdiction card. And I think you'll find that almost without fault, the companies that have been selected to be here today all share favorable jurisdictions. It's a risk factor that comes off the table to you that when we select where to work. One of the best places to work is Nature's Candy Shop here, and this is the ABITIBI Greenstone Belt. This is where we're based. We work at the northern end of the belt. Our neighbors up there include Hecla and, of course, the giant Detour gold deposit right across the border from us in the province of Ontario. We're in the province of Quebec that has huge advantages from power perspective, First Nations perspective, and they actually pay us to be there. We get 28 cents back for every dollar that we spend in the ground. It's a large project that we work on. It spans about 700 square kilometers, so it'll take you all the way out to Chilliwack and back. We own 100% of it, so we're beholden to nobody in our world. And we have the distinct pleasure of being up here to talk to you today both about a high-grade gold discovery, which fits very well with the themes Brian just mentioned, but also a nickel discovery of tremendous significance to us that came along last year and propelled the stock to about a 600% increase during the 2014. We start on the nickel side. This is the Grisette nickel copper PGE discovery. So in addition to the nickel and the copper, you've got platinum, palladium, and gold, which are all likely payable to you. It is a high-grade discovery. It actually features tremendous grades, some of the highest nickel tenors, nickel content, overall nickel content in space, and very low sulfur for the system, which on the back end of this makes for a very smelter-friendly concentrate, a value plus add for the company. It is a zone of mineralization that has grown tremendously quickly. We announced the discovery in May of last year. It has now reached some 480, almost 500 meters long strike down to about 400 vertical. So it's basically an Empire State Building's worth of nickel. And it continues to grow, and the last set of results grew the strike extent by about 20%. So it's open for additional growth, has a tremendously high-grade core, and sits vertically in the ground. This is a quick look at the zone itself. You can see that high-grade core there, so you know exactly where you're going to start this operation and expand out from there. It's one of two mineralized horizons on the project. The other one's about 100 meters deeper in behind this one, and we'll be able to add to what you're going to do here on what we call Horizon 3. Why does it matter to you? You're going to hear lots about gold. You're not going to hear a lot about nickel. You should be hearing a lot about nickel. It is one of the few commodities that is actually in step following a path towards a significant deficit in the near future. And you don't take my word from that. You can go and you can take Sherritt's or Glencore's. Look at the major producers. Norilskiven out just last week. Again, the very similar chart to what you see here in Glencore. It has been quite some time in the metal spaces since you have seen actual projected deficits. You've seen one come in the zinc market. You've seen one come in the nickel market. This is now starting to set itself in. We had a nice little false rally of about 20% earlier this year, but it does seem to be tracking very much along there. And on that vein, in that vein, we saw the first serious transaction, and we'll use the pun there, in the nickel space since 2007 earlier this week. It sets a tremendous metric for the nickel space. It tells you just how rare these zones of mineralization are. $1.57 a pound versus a $5.75 price. In the gold space, you're lucky to get $100 against a $1,200 gold price. So it's a tremendous metric for the space. It speaks to the scarcity of these assets and what a good quality nickel asset will run to in the market. This is a deposit that was about 28 months ahead of our current timeline. What it does, though, is it clears the cupboard. You go to look in the nickel cupboard right now, if you're a producer and you're looking for something with size, a grade that's growing near infrastructure in a good jurisdiction with some district scale exploration potential, there is basically nothing else in the cupboard. It is a very, very sparse landscape, and we're happy to have you go out and ask any expert you want what's in the nickel space to transact over the next couple of years. There isn't much, which is where this deposit, this new discovery of ours, clearly stands out from the field. Not only do we have the deposit, we control the entirety of the belt, and we've just begun to skim the surface on exploring that belt. It's over 20 kilometers long. We own 100% of it. 4 of our first 6 holes on the exploration side have all discovered nickel mineralization. So we're just beginning to see the upside to the bigger picture here. There should be more deposits out here. Nickel deposits do tend to cluster. That's one of their characteristics. And oh, by the way, occasionally we do get a little bit of gold around our nickel zones. As a matter of fact, just on Monday, we published a brand new discovery, a shear zone we'd not seen before. All it did was return 6 ounce gold mineralization. So it is started by saying the candy store and the ABITIBI. That's exactly what this is. There is multiple opportunities here within this land package that we can control. So on the nickel front for us, very simple, continue to make it bigger, get it filled in, get you your first resource by the end of the year, follow up on that district scale potential. We've got the met work underway already. We've got a few drill results still coming from the winter program. Drills will turn back on in a couple of weeks. And we'll put about 40,000 meters into the ground this summer, both in expanding the zone and tracking up through the rest of the zone. And we do own a second trend, totally overburden covered, of high magnetic rocks about 20 kilometers away. Again, we hold the entirety of that. That hasn't seen any drilling from our company. In behind that, we bury this neat little project. That same cupboard we just opened, if we go to the gold space and we go to open the cupboard, it's kind of like after you ask your kids to clean their room, you got to stand back because projects are going to come falling out the door. So how do you fight for shelf space in a polluted environment, a full environment? It's real simple. You fight with this kind of stuff. You fight for shelf space in the gold market right now with high-grade gold results, high-grade gold resources that are not as sensitive to the metal price. And these are the ones that Brian was talking about. In particular, I think you were talking about the 19.5 over 44 meters we put out about a month ago now. This is from the footwall zone of what we call Bug Lake. This is 40 kilometers away from the nickel asset. It is a fabulous high-grade project. Sits underneath this lovely swamp, very scenic up here. You should come for a visit. It's really great, especially in the spring when the bugs are out. It's close by. Extends for about 1,200 meters along strike. We've now done detailed infill drilling on about 300 meters of that. Obviously, there's another 900 meters for us to do, so you can see the path forward for this very clearly. Continue that infill drilling that's producing the kind of results that we've had in the last couple of weeks, and I'll ultimately get this off to resource as well. This is 40 kilometers away from the front door at Detour, where they're mining 0.82 grams per ton. So we think our numbers are a little bit more impressive on the grade side than theirs are. It is open. It remains open along strike, 1,200 meters, and open to the south. It remains open to depth. Our deepest intercepts are down around 400 meters vertical depth. That's literally scratching the surface in the ABITIBI, where they're mining things down at about 2,500 meters vertical depth. And those results are almost 9 grams over almost 15 meters, 14.9 meters. So it's a fabulous system. Obviously, when you're doing this much work, you're very cognizant of how much that costs. So you're trying to do it intelligently. We have the distinct advantage of being well-financed. It's about almost $12 million in the Treasury right now, and financeable. We've never really struggled. The last 2 financings we've done have been at about 50 and 55% above market price in the Quebec space. So from Balmoral, what are you looking for? Obviously, more great results. Metallurgical work underway already at Grisette, resource towards year end. For potential for new discoveries, obviously on that trend, we've already begun to show some highlights there, and more to come. Obviously, continue to grow on the gold side. We put about 15% of our budget, 10 to 15, into new things as well. So don't be surprised if we have some new things. We did announce a new base metal zinc copper discovery fairly recent as well that we'll be back on too. Summer geophysics and drilling outside of those key areas. And there's we actually have another project that's active, third party just to the south of us is funding that one on the gold side as well. So we're a busy little company. We've done some great things over the last 12 to 24 months. We look forward to what's to come. And obviously with the nickel market getting set to move, the cupboard absolutely bare. We think Grisette is very uniquely positioned to deliver value and have a not too bad little backup project there in a high-grade gold asset in the Abitibi. So thank you very, very much.